When Ashley Harrison arrived home at 6:47 a.m. that Wednesday, she realized she'd left her laptop at the office. 10 years running the construction company that had belonged to her husband, Michael. 10 years since the accident. 10 years of avoiding him. She was about to head upstairs to her office on the second floor, but she heard something. A sound coming from Michael's room downstairs. An impossible sound. Someone was talking and crying and counting. 1, 2, 3. Ashley froze on the stairs. In 10 years, that house had been as silent as a tomb. Michael hadn't spoken a word. The doctors said he could, but after the accident, he just stopped. And nobody else arrived at 6:47 in the morning. Nobody except her. And now, someone else. She walked toward Michael's room. Her Louboutin heels clicked against the Italian marble floor. Each step was an accusation. Because Ashley knew every inch of that $4 million mansion in Bel Air Estates, but she hadn't been in her husband's room for 3 years. The door was ajar. The voice continued. A woman's voice. Soft, broken, desperate. 4, 5, 6. Please, Michael, just one more. I know you can do it. I know you're in there. Ashley reached for the doorknob, and at that moment, her life split in two, the before and the after, what she was about to see. But let's rewind, because to understand that moment, you need to understand how they got there. The three of them, Ashley, Michael, and Lucy, the housekeeper who was doing the impossible while nobody watched. If you've ever loved someone and stopped fighting for them, if you've ever built emotional walls so high that you forgot what you were protecting, if you've ever paid for everything except the one thing that matters, your presence, then you'll understand why Ashley Harrison, CEO of Harrison Construction, the most powerful woman in the construction industry in California, was about to completely fall apart. Michael Harrison was 52 years old, a brilliant civil engineer. The man who had designed the overpass on the 405 freeway, the man Ashley had met in college when they were both 22, the man she married 3 months later, because when you find your person, you just know. 25 years of marriage, 25 years of building things together, first a company, then a fortune, finally a prison. On March 14th, 2015, Michael was overseeing the construction of Paramount Studios' new corporate headquarters in Century City. An 1,800-pound steel beam, a malfunction in the crane system. 2 seconds of free fall. The beam struck Michael directly in the back. C5, C6 vertebrae, spinal cord fractured, complete and immediate paraplegia. Ashley was in a meeting with investors when she got the call. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, her husband, emergency surgery, prognosis, the word that changed everything, irreversible. 4 neurologists, they all said the same thing. The damage was complete. Michael Harrison would never walk again, never move his arms again, never hold anything again, never touch her again. The exact words of Dr. Miller, a neurosurgeon with 30 years of experience. Mrs. Harrison, your husband is conscious. His mind is intact, but his body no longer belongs to him. I'm sorry. And there was something worse, something the doctor didn't say, but that Ashley saw in Michael's eyes that first night in the hospital. Michael was awake. He could think, he could feel, he could see and hear everything. But he was trapped, completely trapped inside a body that wouldn't respond, a prison of flesh and blood from which he would never escape. For the first 6 months, Ashley tried. God knows she tried. She hired the best physical therapists in Los Angeles. She paid $20,000 a month for experimental treatments. She took Michael to a clinic in Houston that promised recovery with stem cells. $42,000 for 3 weeks of treatment. Nothing worked. Not a single muscle moved. Not a single finger responded. And something in Ashley broke. It wasn't all at once. It was gradual, like a wall being built brick by brick. First, she stopped going into his room in the mornings. Then she stopped having dinner at home. Then she started staying at the office until 11 p.m. Meetings. There were always meetings. The company that had been both of theirs, now was just hers. And Ashley took refuge there. Because working was easier than seeing Michael. Because every time she looked at him, she saw her failure. The accident had happened on her construction site, her responsibility, her fault. So she hired caregivers. First one nurse, then two, rotating shifts, 24 hours of professional care, the best that money could buy, everything except love. 3 years ago, one of the nurses quit, and the staffing agency sent a replacement candidate, Lucy Morales. 45 years old at the time, simple resume, experience caring for senior citizens, impeccable references, salary requested $2,500 a month. Ashley interviewed her in her office, 10 minutes. Basic questions. When can you start? Lucy said. Tomorrow if you need me. Ashley didn't even ask her why she wanted the job. Lucy started on April 3rd, 2022. Her responsibilities were clear. Michael's daily bath, changing his position every 2 hours to prevent bed sores. Feeding through a gastric tube, passive range of motion exercises as indicated by the physical therapist who came twice a week. Technical work, professional, without emotional involvement. That's what Ashley expected. That's not what happened. For the first 6 months, Lucy did exactly as she was instructed. She arrived at 7:30 in the morning. She left at 7:30 at night. 12 hours. Impeccable work. Silent. Efficient. Ashley barely saw her. She left the house at 6 in the morning. She returned at 10 at night. Michael was asleep. Lucy had already left. The system worked. Everyone in their little boxes. Nobody bothering anyone. But something changed in Lucy around month 7. Ashley didn't notice. She was too busy. The construction company had won the contract for the expansion of the Ontario International Airport. $340 million. The biggest project of her career. Meetings with government officials, with investors, with contractors. Michael was fine. Lucy was taking care of him. That was enough. It had to be enough. Except it wasn't. One Tuesday morning, 6 months after hiring Lucy, Ashley was late for a meeting because she forgot some blueprints in her study at home. It was 8:15 in the morning. Lucy should already be there. Ashley walked in through the front door. Silence. She went straight to her study on the 2nd floor. She grabbed the blueprints. She was about to leave, but then she heard something from downstairs, from Michael's room. Music. Ashley stopped on the stairs. There was no music in that house. Michael had loved music. He played guitar. On weekends, he'd put on classic country by Johnny Cash and sing along while he cooked. After the accident, Ashley removed all the speakers. She couldn't stand it. But now there was music. A song that Ashley recognized immediately. Ring of Fire. Johnny Cash. Michael's favorite song. Who was playing that song? Ashley walked down the stairs. She approached the door to Michael's room. It was slightly open. She peeked inside. Lucy was sitting next to Michael's bed. She had her cell phone in her hand. The music was coming from it, and Lucy was singing softly, off-key, but singing. And there was something else. Lucy had Michael's hand in hers, and she was talking to him. The exact words that Ashley overheard. Michael loved this song, didn't he? I know, I saw it in the pictures in your office. You playing guitar. You smiling. You alive. Ashley froze. Lucy continued. I had a husband too, David. He loved music just as much. He played drums in a band on weekends. We met at a concert. He proposed to me by singing our song. We were happy. Ashley shouldn't have been listening, but she couldn't move. But David died 5 years ago. Motorcycle accident. Instantaneous. I didn't even get to say goodbye. I didn't even get to tell him I loved him one last time. Lucy's voice cracked. That's why I'm here, Michael. That's why I'm going to fight for you. Because someone has to, and because I know what it's like to lose someone without having tried everything. Ashley felt something strange in her chest. Something she hadn't felt in years. Guilt, real, deep, devastating. She left the house without making a sound. She didn't say anything. She didn't confront Lucy. She simply left, and over the following weeks, she began to notice things. Small things, things she had ignored. Michael's room smelled different, not of medicine and disinfectant like before. Now it smelled of lavender. There were fresh flowers in the window. Lilies, Michael's favorites. The pictures on the walls had changed. Before they were generic landscapes, now they were photos. Photos of Michael and Ashley, their wedding, their honeymoon in Napa Valley. Michael receiving the Civil Engineer of the Year award in 2010. Who had done that? Ashley never gave instructions. One morning, Ashley decided to arrive early on purpose. 7:45 a.m. She wanted to see. She needed to see. Lucy was in Michael's room, but she wasn't doing the normal tasks. She was reading out loud, a book. Ashley got close enough to see the title, The Great Gatsby, Michael's favorite novel. He had read it 7 times. He always said it was the greatest novel ever written. How did Lucy know that? Ashley watched for 5 minutes. Lucy read with a soft voice. She did the voices of the characters. She laughed at the funny parts. And every now and then she looked at Michael and said, "You liked that part, didn't you? I see it in your eyes." Michael's eyes. Ashley had avoided them for years, because in those eyes she saw everything. The sadness, the loneliness, the silent question. Why did you abandon me? But when Lucy spoke to him, Michael's eyes were different, brighter, as if behind that prison of flesh someone was listening, someone was grateful. Ashley left again without saying anything, but something had changed. She started arriving earlier. She didn't enter the room, but she watched from the hallway, from the stairs, spying on her own house, and what she saw destroyed her. Lucy wasn't just taking care of Michael. Lucy was treating him like a person, like a man, like someone who mattered. She told him stories about her day. She asked for his opinion on things, knowing that Michael couldn't respond, but speaking as if he could. "Do you think I should dye my hair, Mr. Michael? My daughter says the gray gives me character." She played music for him. Classic country, classic rock, everything Michael had loved. She showed him photos on her cell phone of things happening in the world. "Look, the Dodgers won the World Series. You would have loved to see that game." And there was something else. Something that took Ashley weeks to notice. Michael was changing, not physically, but emotionally. There was something in his gaze. Hope, small, fragile, but there. On Thursday afternoon, Ashley arrived home unusually early, 4 p.m. She had cancelled a meeting. She needed some papers from her study. She entered the house. Everything was silent, but then she heard footsteps. They were coming from the 2nd floor, from her study. Ashley went up the stairs. The door to her study was open. Lucy was in there, in front of the bookshelf. What was Lucy doing in her private study? Ashley was about to ask, but then she saw what Lucy had in her hands. A book, thick, spiral-bound. Ashley recognized it immediately. It was a physical therapy book, Spinal Cord Injury Rehabilitation Manual, advanced level, 847 pages. Ashley had bought it 2 years ago, in a moment of desperation, thinking that maybe if she learned it herself, maybe if she did the exercises, but she never opened it. She put it on the bookshelf and forgot about it. But now Lucy had it. And it was full of sticky notes, dozens, hundreds, marking pages. Lucy turned around. She saw Ashley. She turned pale. "Mrs. Ashley, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have taken your book without permission. It's just that the public library didn't have books this complete, and I thought..." Wait. Lucy was studying physical therapy. For Michael? Ashley felt something crack in her throat. "No, Go on. What are you studying? Lucy looked down. The passive mobility exercises, the ones the physical therapist does twice a week. I thought that if I learned them well, I could do them every day. The book says that consistency is critical, that muscles and nerves need constant stimulation even if there's no apparent response. How long have you been studying this? 6 months. 6 months. Lucy had been studying physical therapy in her free time for 6 months. For Michael, for a man that the doctors had declared a lost cause, Ashley didn't know what to say. Then she said the only thing she could. Keep the book. And if you need more, tell me. Lucy looked at her with teary eyes. Thank you, Mrs. Ashley. Ashley left the study. She went down the stairs. She left the house. She sat in her car in the garage. And she cried. For the first time in 10 years, she cried. Because a caregiver making minimum wage was doing more for her husband than she was. A CEO pulling in $300,000 a month could afford anything, except time, except presence, except love. If this story is stirring something inside you, if you're starting to realize that miracles don't always come in white coats and with medical degrees, if you're seeing that sometimes heroes wear the uniforms of housekeepers, then stick around, because what Ashley was about to discover was much bigger than she ever imagined. 2 months after that day, Ashley was rummaging through the garage trash, searching for a document she'd mistakenly thrown away. She found something else, a notebook, small, spiral-bound, soaked with coffee. On the cover it said, Michael's Exercises, October 2023. Ashley opened it, and what she saw made the world stop. It was a log, day by day, date, time, exercise performed. Repetitions, observed response, October 7th, 2023, 6 a.m. Passive finger flexion, right hand, 200 repetitions, no response, October 8th, 2023, 6 a.m. Passive finger flexion, right hand, 200 repetitions, no response, October 9th, 2023, 6 a.m. Passive finger flexion, right hand, 250 repetitions, no response. Page after page, every day, without fail. Lucy had been doing this for months. Ashley flipped through the pages. She got to the most recent entries. December 3rd, 2023. 6 a.m. finger flexion, 300 repetitions. Possible tremor in index finger. Not sure. Could be my imagination. Oh God, please let it not be my imagination. Ashley felt her heart race. December 10th, 2023, 6:15 a.m., finger flexion, 400 repetitions. Tremor confirmed, right index finger, movement approximately 1 millimeter. I cried for 20 minutes. Michael has tears too. He felt it. He felt it. Ashley dropped the notebook. No, it wasn't possible. The doctors had said, irreversible. 0 probability, complete damage, but there it was, written in Lucy's shaky handwriting. A miracle? Small, barely perceptible, but a miracle. Ashley looked at the date of that entry, December 10th, 2 months ago. What else had happened in 2 months? Ashley closed the notebook, put it in her bag, didn't return it to the trash. That night, she didn't sleep. She was awake until 5 a.m., thinking, wondering, hating herself, and she made a decision. The next day, Wednesday, February 14th, 2024, Ashley was going to leave the house at 6 a.m. as usual, but she left her laptop on the kitchen table, on purpose. She left the house, drove 3 blocks, turned around, came back. It was 6:47 a.m. when she entered the house again, and she heard the sound, the impossible sound, a voice, counting. 1, 2, 3. Ashley walked toward Michael's room, each step slower than the last. Because part of her didn't want to know. Part of her wanted to remain in ignorance, in denial, in the work that kept her busy and away from the truth. But she couldn't anymore. Not after the notebook. After knowing that something impossible was happening. The door was ajar. Ashley approached, stood in the frame, and looked inside. What she saw made her whole world collapse. Lucy was on the floor, sitting cross-legged next to Michael's medical bed. She had Michael's right hand in her lap, and she was doing exercises, flexing each finger one by one, slowly, methodically, counting each repetition. 7, 8, 9. Please, my love. Please, honey. I know today's the day. I know you're going to move today. Wait, my love, honey. Ashley froze. A horrible thought crossed her mind. Lucy and Michael? No, it wasn't possible. Michael couldn't. Physically, he couldn't. But then Lucy continued speaking, and Ashley understood. I don't call you my love that way, Michael. I call you that because someone has to love you. Someone has to treat you like the man you are, not like the patient, not like the lost cause, like Michael, the man who built bridges, the man who loved his wife so much he married her in 3 months, the man who is trapped but not broken. Tears ran down Lucy's face as she moved Michael's fingers. 10, 11, 12, and then Ashley saw it. What Lucy was doing wasn't just exercise, it was love, pure, selfless, impossible to buy. Ashley backed away from the door without making a sound, went upstairs, locked herself in her room, and for the second time in 2 months, cried until she couldn't breathe. Because Lucy was right, someone had to love Michael, and Ashley had stopped doing it, not for lack of feeling, but because of too much pain. That night, Ashley didn't go to the office. She stayed home, ate dinner alone in the kitchen. Lucy left at 7:30 as usual, said goodnight to Ashley like every night. Nothing out of the ordinary, except now Ashley knew, and not knowing what to do with that knowledge was destroying her. The next morning, Ashley did something she hadn't done in years. Entered Michael's room. 7 a.m. Lucy hadn't arrived yet. Michael was awake. His eyes moved toward her, and in those eyes, Ashley saw something that made her recoil. Recognition and fear, as if Michael feared she was going to take Lucy away. Take away the only thing he had left. Ashley approached the bed, sat in the chair that Lucy used, took Michael's hand, the same hand that Lucy exercised every morning. "Hi," Ashley said. Her voice sounded strange. It had been so long since the last time she spoke directly to Michael. Michael's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," Ashley whispered. "I'm sorry for leaving you alone. I'm sorry for being afraid. I'm sorry for everything." But Michael couldn't respond. He could only look at her. And in that look, Ashley saw 10 years of solitude, 10 years of waiting, 10 years of wondering if his wife would ever come back. Lucy arrived at 7:30, entered the room and stopped short when she saw Ashley there. "Ma'am, excuse me, I didn't know you were here." Ashley stood up. "No, I'm the one who should apologize. Please, continue with your work." Lucy looked at her confused, but nodded. Ashley left the room, but didn't leave the house. She stayed in the living room, listening. She heard Lucy talking to Michael. "Good morning, honey. How are you feeling today? I brought your favorite song. We're going to play it while we do the exercises." Music, Frank Sinatra, "Fly Me to the Moon." And then Lucy began. Ashley heard the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 repetitions. Ashley counted them all. 45 minutes of finger flexion, then wrist rotation, 300 repetitions, 30 minutes, then a deep massage on his arms. Lucy explained each movement as if Michael could feel it. This helps with circulation. It prevents muscle atrophy. Nerves need constant stimulation. Ashley stayed listening until 9:30. 2 hours. 2 hours of work that Lucy did every day, without anyone asking her to, without anyone seeing her, until now. The next day, Ashley arrived at 7 a.m. again. She entered the room. Lucy was preparing Michael for his exercises. "Can I stay?" Ashley asked. Lucy blinked in surprise. "Of course, ma'am." Ashley sat in the armchair in the corner and observed the entire routine, the 500 push-ups, the 300 rotations, the massage, the shoulder mobilization that Lucy had learned from a YouTube video she showed Ashley on her cell phone. Look, ma'am, this physical therapist in Spain says that even with spinal cord damage, constant stimulation can prevent atrophy, and in rare cases, very rare, there can be minimal partial recovery, very minimal, but it exists. How long have you been doing this? Ashley asked, although she already knew the answer. 1.5 years, not 6 months as she'd said before. 1.5 years. 547 days of getting up at 5:30 in the morning, arriving at this house before anyone else, doing physical therapy that no doctor had prescribed, that no boss had authorized. Why? Ashley asked, the question that was killing her. Why do you do this? Lucy stopped moving Michael's hand. She looked Ashley directly in the eyes. Because when I lost Robert, no one fought for him. He died instantly. There was no opportunity. But Michael is still here. His mind is intact. He's trapped, and no one should be trapped and alone. No one. Tears streamed down Lucy's face. And because the day I arrived here, 3 years ago, I entered this room, and Michael looked at me, and I saw in his eyes the same thing I saw in Robert's eyes, in the accident photos they showed me. Terror, loneliness, and the question, is anyone going to fight for me? Ashley couldn't speak. Her throat was closed. And I told myself, Lucy continued, that as long as I was here, the answer for Michael would be yes. Someone is going to fight for you, even if no one else does, even if it's impossible, even if it takes years. Someone is going to believe in you. At that moment, Ashley Herreras, multi-millionaire CEO, woman of power, completely broke down. She knelt next to Lucy and begged for forgiveness, not to Lucy, to Michael. Forgive me, please forgive me. I stopped fighting, I stopped believing, I stopped loving you the way you needed. But she never stopped. And Michael, for the first time in 10 years, made a sound from the deepest part of his throat. It wasn't a word, but it was something. It was him trying to respond. Lucy took Ashley's hand, and together, the two women who loved Michael in different ways, wept. What would you have done in Ashley's place if you discovered that a stranger was loving your person in the way that you had stopped doing? If you realized that the money you pay doesn't buy the only thing that matters, presence, faith, love that doesn't give up? Would you have had the courage to face your failure, or would you have continued hiding behind work? Because there is the truth that no one wants to hear. Miracles don't come when you pay. They come when someone kneels on the ground and counts to 500, even though their knees hurt, even though no one is watching, even though the result is uncertain. After that day, everything changed. Ashley began to participate, not all at once, gradually, first just observing and then asking, how do I do this exercise? How much pressure do I apply in the massage? Lucy taught her everything, with patience, without judgment, without saying the obvious. That Ashley should have been doing this for years. A week later, Ashley arrived at 6:30 a.m., half an hour after Lucy, and she saw something she would never forget. Michael's room had changed, completely. It no longer looked like a hospital room. It looked like a home gym. In the corners there was equipment, but not professional medical equipment. It was handmade equipment. Pulleys built with hardware store ropes and hooks. Improvised weights with 2-liter water bottles filled with sand. Elastic resistance bands that Lucy had bought online with her own money. Rollers made of rolled towels and duct tape. Ashley stood paralyzed in the doorway. Lucy was using the pulleys. She had Michael's arm connected to the ropes, and she was doing assisted lifts. The pulley system reduced the weight of Michael's arm so that Lucy could move it gently through full ranges of motion. Ashley recognized the design. It was ingenious, simple, effective, and completely handmade. You built all this? Ashley asked. Lucy turned around. She turned red. Me? Yes. I'm sorry. I should have asked permission. It's just that the book said that assisted mobilization with gradual resistance is important, and the professional equipment costs $2,000. So I thought I could do it myself. When did you build it? At night, at my house. My son helped me. He studies mechanics. I showed him the diagrams from the book, and he told me how to do it. He brought the pieces little by little so you wouldn't notice. Ashley walked towards the equipment. She inspected it. The pulleys were perfectly balanced. The ropes had reinforced knots. The bottles of sand were marked with exact weights. 500 gri, 1 kil, 1.5 kilo. Gradual progression. This is... Ashley searched for the words. This is brilliant. Lucy lowered her gaze. It's just what I could do with what I had. No, said Ashley. This is more than what the physical therapists costing $9,000 a month did. This is love turned into action. And at that moment, Ashley made the decision that would change everything. I want to learn. I want you to teach me everything, every exercise, every technique, every hope that you have, because I'm going to be here. From tomorrow on, every day, I'm going to fight for him with you. Lucy's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? And so began the strangest alliance. A CEO and a housekeeper, united by a man who couldn't move, but who was about to do the impossible. The next day, Ashley arrived at 6 a.m., wearing sportswear, not a designer suit, sweatpants and sneakers. Lucy taught her the entire routine. Ashley did the 500 push-ups with Lucy. Her fingers ached. Her wrists trembled, but she continued. This is what you do every day? Ashley asked on repetition 347. Every day, Lucy responded, because one day, it's going to matter. And she was right, but they didn't yet know how much. Some people are going to pause this video here. They're going to say they already know how it ends, that it's a nice but predictable story. Let me tell you something. What's about to happen isn't what you expect, because real miracles don't look like the ones in movies. They're smaller, more fragile, and much more powerful. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of Ashley arriving at 6 a.m. 3 weeks of doing the entire routine with Lucy. 500 finger flexes, 300 wrist rotations, 45 minutes of deep tissue massage, 30 minutes of mobilization with the makeshift pulleys, 3 weeks of talking to Michael, of playing music for him, of reading him his favorite novel, of treating him like the man he was. Not like the lost cause the doctors had declared, but there were no changes, not a single one. Michael's fingers remained immobile. His arms were still dead weight. His body continued to be his prison. Ashley was starting to understand something devastating. This was what Lucy had been doing for 1.5 years, relentless work, stubborn hope, without visible results. How do you stand it? Ashley asked Lucy one morning while they were doing the 287th finger flex repetition. Lucy looked at Michael. Because he feels it. Even if he doesn't move, even if he doesn't respond, he feels that someone isn't giving up, and that matters, even if we never see results. But you did see results, said Ashley. The notebook, the tremor in December. Lucy paused. Yes, once, 2 months ago. I thought I'd imagined it, but I didn't. It was real, 2 millimeters, his index finger, and then nothing else. Nothing since then. And you're still trying? Lucy smiled, a sad but firm smile. Until my last day on this job, or until Michael gets tired of me, whichever comes first. Ashley felt something break in her chest, shame, because 10 years ago, she had gotten tired first. On March 7th, 2024. 3 weeks and 2 days after Ashley started the routine, something changed. Not in Michael. In Ashley, she was in a meeting with the government, a $500 million contract for expansion of the subway, the most important meeting of the quarter. But she couldn't concentrate. She kept thinking about Michael, about Lucy counting to 500 that morning, about her own hands aching from flexing unresponsive fingers. The construction manager was talking. Deadlines, materials, costs. Ashley interrupted him. "Excuse me, I need to make a call." She left the room and called her assistant. "Cancel all my meetings for today and tomorrow and the day after. Are you all right, Mrs. Herreras?" "Yes," Ashley responded. "For the first time in 10 years. I'm all right." She drove back home. It was midday. Lucy would be there, doing the afternoon session that Ashley didn't yet know. She entered the house and went straight to Michael's room. Lucy was there, but she wasn't doing exercises. She was sitting beside Michael, holding his hand, crying silently. Ashley froze in the doorway. "What happened?" Lucy quickly wiped away her tears. "Nothing, Mrs. Herreras. Just having a bad day." Lucy never had bad days. Ashley had noticed it. Always positive, always with hope, always believing. "What happened?" Ashley asked again, this time softer. Lucy looked down. "Today's the anniversary of Roberto's death. 5 years, and I'm here, doing for Michael what I couldn't do for him. And sometimes I wonder if I'm doing this for Michael, or for me, for my guilt, for my pain." Ashley entered the room and sat down on the other side of Michael. She took his other hand. "It's for both of you," Ashley said, "and there's nothing wrong with that. You're healing your heart while trying to help his. That's not selfishness. That's humanity." Lucy looked at her with red eyes. "What if he never moves? What if I've been fooling myself for a year and a half?" Ashley squeezed Michael's hand. "It doesn't matter, because look at his eyes." Both women looked at Michael. His eyes were fixed on them, bright, conscious, grateful. "He knows that we're fighting," Ashley continued. "He feels our love, and that's already a miracle. Not the kind of miracle people want to see, but the kind that really matters." Lucy nodded. But the tears didn't stop. And then Ashley did something she had never done. She got up, walked around the bed, and hugged Lucy tight, long, as if she could transfer all the strength that Lucy had given her for weeks. "Thank you," Ashley whispered, "for not giving up when I did, for teaching me to fight again, for loving my husband when I forgot how to do it." Lucy clung to Ashley, and both women cried. Two women from completely different worlds, united by a man trapped, and by a love that refused to die. When they separated, Ashley said, "I'm going to take a leave of absence from work. A month, maybe 2. I want to be here, every day, morning and afternoon. Learn everything, do everything, because Michael needs me and I need him." Lucy smiled, a real smile this time. "He's going to be so happy." And then it happened. No one was expecting it. No one was watching. Michael, who had been listening to the entire conversation with increasingly watery eyes, did something impossible. He closed his eyes, squeezed them tight, as if he were making the greatest effort of his life, and his right hand, the hand that Ashley was holding, moved. It wasn't a tremor. It wasn't an involuntary spasm. It was an intentional movement, small, barely perceptible, but unmistakable. Michael's index finger curved 2 millimeters against Ashley's palm. Ashley froze. "Lucy, yes? Did you see that?" "See what?" Ashley looked at her hand. Michael's finger was immobile again. Had she imagined it? After 3 weeks of work, after all the hope, was her mind playing tricks? "Michael," Ashley whispered, "if you hear me, if you understand, do it again. Please, move your finger." Silence. 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. Lucy came closer, staring intently at Michael's hand. "Please," Ashley repeated, a voice she hadn't used in years, vulnerable, broken, desperate. "Please, my love, just one more time. Show me you're there." And then, like a miracle the size of a grain of sand, but with the weight of the entire universe, Michael's index finger moved. This time 3 millimeters, clear, intentional, undeniable. It curved against Ashley's palm and stayed there, trembling from the effort. But there, Ashley let out a sound, something between laughter and sobbing. "Lucy! Lucy! He's doing it!" Lucy launched herself onto the bed and took Michael's other hand. "Michael, honey, can you do it with this hand too?" Michael's eyes were squeezed shut, tears running down his cheeks. The effort was monumental, as if he were lifting mountains with a muscle that hadn't worked in a decade. But then, the finger on his left hand trembled, just 1 millimeter, but it trembled. The two women screamed, a scream of pure joy, of impossible victory, of faith validated against all medical logic. Ashley leaned over Michael. She kissed his forehead, his cheeks, his lips for the first time in years. "You did it," she whispered. "My love, you did it. After 10 years. You moved." Lucy held Michael's hand against her heart. She cried so hard she couldn't speak. She just repeated, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And Michael opened his eyes. The eyes that had been dead with hope for a decade. Now they were alive, bright, full of tears, but also something Ashley hadn't seen in years. Pride. Michael was proud of himself, of having done the impossible, of having moved those few millimeters that the doctor said would never move. Ashley grabbed her cell phone and recorded a video, 47 seconds of her asking Michael to move his finger, and Michael moving it, slowly, trembling, but moving it, evidence, proof that miracles exist, not the kind that cures completely, but the kind that says, there is still hope, there is still a fight, there is still life. That night, Ashley called Dr. Miller, the neurosurgeon who 10 years ago had said, "Irreversible. Doctor, I know it's late, but I need you to come tomorrow, to my house, to see Michael." "Did something happen?" Dr. Miller asked, concerned. "Yes," Ashley replied. "A miracle happened." The next day, Dr. Miller arrived at 10 a.m., skeptical. He had seen many families cling to false hopes, to involuntary spasms, to imagined movements. Ashley and Lucy stood beside Michael. "Look," Ashley said. She showed him the video from the day before. Dr. Miller watched it. His expression didn't change. "It could be a spasm. I need to see it live." "Okay," Ashley said. "Michael, honey, the doctor's here. Can you show him?" Michael closed his eyes and concentrating. The effort was visible on his face. 10 seconds of nothing. And then his right index finger moved. 4 millimeters, more than the day before. Dr. Miller leaned in. He took Michael's hand. He inspected the movement closely. "Do it again," he commanded. He didn't ask. He commanded. Michael tried again. This time, 3 millimeters. The doctor pulled out an instrument, a neurological measuring device. He placed it on Michael's hand and asked him to try to move each finger. Michael managed to move his index and middle fingers. Barely, but he moved them. Dr. Miller straightened up. He looked at Ashley, then at Lucy, then back at Michael. "This shouldn't be possible," he said. "But it is," Lucy replied, her voice firm, "because someone believed when you said there was no hope." The doctor looked at her. "What have you been doing?" Lucy showed him everything, the notebook with 547 days of records, the homemade equipment, the 4-hour daily routine, the physical therapy books she had studied, the YouTube videos, everything. Dr. Miller listened in silence. When Lucy finished, he said, "In 30 years of practice, I've seen 3 cases of minimal partial recovery after complete C5-C6 paraplegia, 3 in 30 years, and all 3 had something in common: constant stimulation, daily, for years, without giving up." He looked at Ashley. "You paid for the best treatments for 6 months, and you gave up." Ashley looked down. "But she," the doctor pointed to Lucy, "didn't give up. She did for free for a year and a half what others charge $20,000 a month to do, and she did it better." "Will he keep moving?" Ashley asked. "I don't know," admitted the doctor. "This could be the maximum, or it could be the beginning." Neuroplasticity is unpredictable. But one thing is certain, if you continue with this routine, with this dedication, Michael has a chance. Small, but real. Ashley looked at Lucy. Lucy looked back at her, and they both knew. This wasn't ending here. This was just beginning. If you didn't feel chills with this, if you don't have tears in your eyes right now, if you're not thinking about the people you've stopped fighting for, then you're not understanding what you just heard, because this isn't a story of miraculous healing. It's a story of stubborn faith, of love that doesn't accept the word impossible, of a housekeeper who decided that $1,000 a month wasn't just a salary, it was a vocation, and of a CEO who learned that all the money in the world doesn't buy what two hands doing, 500 daily repetitions can give. Hope. But this isn't over yet. Because the miracle of March 7th was just the beginning. The next few days were a whirlwind. Ashley cancelled everything, meetings, contracts, trips. For the first time in 10 years, her company wasn't the first thing in her life. Michael was the first thing. They doubled the routine. Now it was 8 hours a day of physical therapy, Ashley in the morning, Lucy in the afternoon, both of them in the evening. And Michael responded slowly, incredibly slowly, but he responded. Day 3, after the first movement, Michael was able to move 3 fingers on his right hand, index, middle, and ring, movements of 3 millimeters, but intentional. Day 7, he was able to bend his wrist, barely 5 degrees, but it was voluntary flexion. Day 10, he closed his right hand around Ashley's finger. He couldn't squeeze, but he closed it, and when Ashley tried to remove her finger, she felt resistance. Minimal, but resistance. Ashley cried, Lucy cried, Michael cried too. Because after 10 years of feeling nothing, of controlling nothing, Michael was holding his wife's hand. 2 weeks after the first movement, Ashley asked Michael something she needed to know. Michael, if you can understand me, if you're there, I want you to try something. Michael looked at her, waiting. I want you to try with everything you have, to lift your hand. Not just move your fingers. Lift your whole hand, just an inch. Whatever you can. Michael closed his eyes. His face tightened. The veins in his neck bulged. The effort was monumental, as if he was trying to lift a building with one finger. Lucy took Michael's other hand. Come on, honey. You can do it. We know you can. 10 seconds, 20, 30, and then Michael's right hand, the hand that had been completely dead for a decade, lifted. It wasn't much. 4 centimeters, off the mattress, trembling violently, holding for barely 2 seconds before falling back down. But it lifted. Ashley screamed, a scream of victory that the neighbors probably heard. You did it. Michael, you did it. Lucy was laughing and crying at the same time. 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters that were worth more than all the bridges Michael had built in his life. That night, Ashley did something she hadn't done in years. She lay down in the medical bed next to Michael, not in her bedroom on the 2nd floor. There, with him. She put her head on his shoulder. She took his hand, the hand that could now move. I love you, she whispered. I never stopped loving you. I just stopped knowing how to show it. Please, forgive me. And Michael did something impossible. Something that required every last bit of strength he had left in his body. He raised his hand, those same 4 centimeters, and touched Ashley's face, his fingers trembling against her cheek, barely grazing it, but touching it. For the first time in 10 years, Michael touched his wife. Ashley didn't move. She didn't want him to have to exert himself anymore. She just closed her eyes. She felt those trembling fingers against her skin, and allowed herself to believe in miracles, in love, in a stubborn hope that refuses to accept the word impossible. 3 weeks after the first movement, Michael could move 5 full fingers on his right hand. He could partially close his hand. approximately 20% strength. He could bend his wrist 15 degrees in both directions. It wasn't much, but it was everything. Dr. Miller came every week to document, to measure, to try and understand how something he had declared impossible was happening right before his eyes. On the 5th visit, he said to Ashley, "I'm going to present Michael's case at the National Neurology Conference with your permission, because this needs to be studied. It needs to be replicated. It needs to give hope to thousands of families who are in the same situation." Ashley looked at Lucy. "What do you think?" Lucy smiled. "If it can help someone else, if another family can learn that they shouldn't give up, then yes, share it." Dr. Miller nodded. "But I need Lucy to be a co-author of the article, because the treatment protocol is hers, not mine, not any neurologist with a doctorate, but from a housekeeper who studied physical therapy on YouTube and believed when no one else did." Lucy blushed. "Doctor, I can't." "It's not negotiable," Ashley interrupted. "The doctor is right. You did this. You saved Michael. You saved me." Lucy lowered her gaze. "I just did what love asked me to do. And there it is," said Dr. Miller. "The variable that no medical study can measure. Love, the most important component of the treatment, and the one we ignore the most." A month after the first movement, Ashley made a decision. She gathered the board of directors of Herrera's Construction and presented her resignation as CEO. Not a total resignation, but a partial one. "I want to be a consultant, working from home, 4 hours a day, maximum, the rest of my time, the rest of my life. I want to spend with Michael." The board objected. She was the head of the company, the metro contract, the airport. Everything depended on her. Ashley looked at them. "You're right. The company needs me, but my husband needs me more. And for 10 years, I chose wrong. I'm not going to make the same mistake again." She remained silent for a moment, then continued, "And I want to create a fund, $10 million, for research in neuroplasticity, for home-based physical therapy programs, to train caregivers like Lucy, because if there's even one more case like Michael's, one single person trapped in their body waiting for someone to fight for them, I want them to have that opportunity." The board approved, unanimously. 2 months after the first movement, something extraordinary happened. Ashley and Lucy were doing the afternoon routine. Frank Sinatra playing in the background. The 500 repetitions of finger flexion, repetition number 342. And Michael spoke. It wasn't clear. It was a hoarse sound, broken, like vocal cords that hadn't been used in years. But it was a word, a single word that stopped the world. "Thanks." Ashley and Lucy froze. "Michael?" Michael looked at them, tears streaming down his face, and said it again, more clearly this time. "Thanks." He couldn't say more. His throat couldn't take any more. But he didn't need to say more, because in that word were 10 years of silence, 10 years of being trapped, 10 years of wanting to say, "I love you, I miss you, don't give up on me. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm still me." All in one word. "Thanks." Ashley collapsed, falling to her knees beside the bed, taking Michael's hand, the hand that was now moving. "You're welcome, my love. You're welcome. I'm never going to leave you alone again. I promise." Lucy was crying so hard that she had to sit down. "Robert, if you're watching me from somewhere, I did what I couldn't do for you. I fought. I didn't give up. I hope you're proud." And Michael used all his strength to do one more thing. He raised his hand 4 centimeters and pointed to Lucy. She understood. "Thank you too." That's what Michael was saying. Lucy approached, took his hand, and Michael squeezed it, with that 20% of strength he had recovered. But for Lucy, for a woman who had lost her husband without being able to say goodbye, that 20% was worth 100% of the world. This story shouldn't exist, According to science, according to 4 neurologists, according to 10 years of medical evidence, Michael Herreras should never have moved again. But it does exist, because a housekeeper decided that science wasn't the final word, that love was stronger than the diagnosis, that 500 daily repetitions were worth more than $180,000 in treatments. And because a CEO learned that you can build bridges of steel, but if you don't build bridges of love with the people who matter, you're wasting your life. 6 months after the first movement, today, now, I'm going to tell you where they are. Michael Herreras can move his right hand completely. He can close his fist with 40% strength. He can lift his arm 15 centimeters. He can bend his elbows slightly. He can write letters, slow, trembling, but legible. The first word he wrote was, "I love you, Ashley." The second was, "Thank you, Lucy." He can't walk. He probably never will. The damage in C5, C6 is too extensive, but he can touch, he can hold, he can hug from one side, and that's all he needed. Lucy Morales no longer earns $12,000 a month. Ashley tripled her salary, $36,000, and gave her a new title, Herreras Family Therapist. But Lucy doesn't do it for the money. She never did. She does it because every time Michael moves a finger, every time he says a word, every time he smiles, Lucy sees Robert and feels that she was finally able to say goodbye, finally able to fight, finally able to love until the end. Ashley Herreras resigned as CEO. She is now a consultant, working from home, 4 hours a day. The rest of the time, she is with Michael, doing physical therapy, reading books, listening to music, building the marriage that the accident tried to destroy. And the Herreras Fund for Neuroplasticity has awarded 127 scholarships to home caregivers, so they can learn physical therapy, so they can study neurology, so they can believe in the impossible. Because if Lucy could do it, so can you. Others can too. Dr. Miller presented the case at the Neurology Conference in September of 2024. The article was titled, "Partial Recovery Post-Paraplegia, C5, C6 Through Constant Non-Professional Stimulation, the Herreras Morales Case." Lucy was on stage, in her blue maid's uniform, because Ashley insisted, "This is who you are. This is your victory. Don't hide behind a suit." Lucy received a standing ovation. 800 neurologists standing up, applauding. A 48-year-old woman who never went to college, but who understood something they had forgotten. Miracles don't come from degrees, they come from faith. And now it's your turn. You have 2 options. You can close this video, go on with your day, forget you ever heard this. Or you can ask yourself, who is my Michael? Who is waiting for me to fight for them? Who needs me to count to 500 even when it hurts? Who deserves me to never give up? Maybe it's your father, your mother, your brother, your friend. Maybe it's yourself, trapped in a situation that seems impossible, waiting for someone to believe. Or maybe you're Ashley, running, hiding behind work, behind money, behind excuses, avoiding the pain of seeing someone you love suffer. And you need to hear this. Come back to fight. Don't give up, because miracles don't appear when you pay. They appear when you kneel on the floor. Take a hand that won't move and count to 500 anyway. Lucy Morales is watching you, and she's asking you, are you going to fight or are you going to give up like Ashley did? The answer is up to you. Michael Herreras lifted his hand 4 centimeters after 10 years of complete paralysis. Not because a doctor cured him, but because a maid decided that love was stronger than science. And if that doesn't make you believe in miracles, then you weren't listening. This is the story of Lucy, of Ashley, and of Michael. 3 people who learned that sometimes, the impossible is just waiting for someone to be stubborn enough, loving enough, crazy enough, to try anyway. And now you know, heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear blue maids' uniforms and yellow cleaning gloves. And miracles aren't always grand. Sometimes they're 4 centimeters, and they're worth more than any bridge ever built. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. And please, please, don't give up on your Michael, whoever that may be.